How we doing, everyone? Hope you guys are having a good weekend. Just got back from Florida, so there's some damage going on there. Thankfully, nothing happened to my family or my property there. So my heart goes out to everybody that is experiencing damage at this point. So I just wanted to. I know everybody's been working on the new She-Hulk episode with Daredevil. And I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in on all that. So, I'll tell you why I'm more disappointed with this episode than really any of the others. And this episode shows what this show could have been. So, this episode is like a microcosm of what the show could have been. Okay, so I'm not saying this episode is great. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if they had leaned in to the superhero side of things, then this show could have been good. Okay? And even this episode, where it did have some action in it, and it was kind of a superhero show, those scenes were decent. I mean, not good. They were decent because I can tell that the writer just really didn't know how to write these characters. So, and I can think anybody can attest to the fact that Charlie Cox entering the show changed the entire dynamic of the show. He nails this character, right? So he knows his character inside and out. And even though they threw garbage at him, right? Even though they threw garbage lines at him because these people cannot write. So Cody Ziegler wrote this. It was a man. Not that that makes really any difference, because if a woman was able to get this show, doesn't matter, a man, woman, as long as you get these characters, that's all that really matters. So, but the problem is that these writers do not get it. They just don't know how to write a superhero show. So I'm not going to go through the entire episode, but we start out with, this stupid villain, or not. He's not really a villain. He's a vigilante. Stupid vigilante that's dressed up like a frog. So she has to defend him because there was some problems with the suit, etc. And he wants to sue the same person that's both making Jen Walters' super suit, which we haven't even seen before, which is the first episode we get to see it, because she's never been a superhero up to this point. She's never used her powers for anything besides looking hot. Okay, so that's what we've been subjected to this entire time. I'm She-Hulk and I'm hot. So, and I need validation as Jen because I definitely get more respect and eyes as She-Hulk, but every time I do that, though I'm being happy, I have dual personalities apparently, and I'm, insulting myself, when I'm getting this respect as the other version of myself. It's garbage. So anyway, Charlie Cox comes in, and now he's going to have to represent the other side, which is the super suit maker, the fashionista. And this is the same person that's also making a gala dress for her, so there's a conflict of interest, etc. Ooh, high drama. High drama. So we find out later that the guy who not only loses the vigilante frog, I don't know, vigilante frog, that he not only loses because Charlie Cox, with his Daredevil, can smell the fact that he used jet fuel in his rockets, in his ankle rockets, instead of who knows what. And how did he know that it was? It was the smell still on him like 2 weeks later. Normally it takes a month to go to trial on him. He still has the smell on him. I don't know. All right, so we move farther to that. But Charlie Cox again takes the character within himself and acts completely. He steals every scene he's in, which tells you something. So we go after the ribbit guy, whatever we called him, leapfrog or whatever he was. And the name of the episode is Rip It, Rip It or Reeve It or something to that effect. So anyway, he ends up kidnapping the guy to make him another suit. But Jen doesn't know this. She gets called in, and Daredevil's on top of the car, and she smashes the car to stop, and he doubles off, and then they fight, but it's not really a fight because he doesn't even try to fight. All he tries to do is get away as she's throwing cars at him. So she wasn't there to incapacitate him. She was there to kill him. And this is what I mean when I say that the writers just didn't get it. They just didn't understand that she wouldn't be throwing cars at a guy with no powers. She didn't know anything about them. But it was obvious that he just had sticks. He wasn't super strong or anything to that effect. And if he was, he would have tried to toe-to-toe her, and he didn't. So she starts to throw cars at him. She smashes up the whole parking garage. I don't know. There was a bunch of ways that she could have handled that differently. So she does a sonic clap, and that, of course, stuns him because that's his powers. Everything's through his hearing and his other senses other than his eyes. So, boom, she rips the thing and says, "Oh, you're Matt Murdock." Then they go and do more action stuff, which, she's still, the property damage that she creates is phenomenal. He's like, "Let's go in and do stealth." And she's like, "No, let's just smash everything." So I guess there was a little bit of dynamic to that, but it could have been, I think it could have been handled a little differently. It could have been funnier, or we could have been more action. So then they have, and this is where you see that Tatiana Maslany is a dramatic actress. And I said this in my last video and pertained to She-Hulk, is that Tatiana Maslany is a great actress. She is. But she's a dramatic actress, not a comedic one. So every time she tries to be funny, it comes off flat. Whenever she tries to break the third wall, and the writing on that is bad too, but it just comes off flat. That's why nothing here is really funny, because even the stuff that's written, I don't know, could be funny if another, if Lucille Ball was doing it or whatever. It would just be different. But here we go. We have a serious scene with Daredevil talking to Jen. She's in Jen form, and he's telling her that you're in a unique position. You can be a superhero and you can be a lawyer, so you can deal with things on and off the clock. Of course, that would cause problems because of the fact that she has no secret identity, and if she's trying to subterfuge the law, but she could add to the law, right? She could catch people in the act, etc. But anyway, he's telling her that she's in this unique position, and the chemistry between them is off the charts. And the scene really, really works because we're getting the dramatic side out of Tatiana. And again, the two of them work really well together because they're both dramatic actors, right? Charlie Cox is not a comedian either. Though he has that snarky thing that he can pull off. Kind of like a little debonair situation, very James Bondish. And he can pull that off so you can get a smirk out of the audience. You won't get a belly laugh, but you'll get a smirk out of everybody. And he can pull that off where she really can't. But here we go. We have this scene. Works really, really well. Okay? Then we go back into another action scene where she's smashing everything and he wants to go in and do stealth, etc. Then he says, "Hey, after it's all over and done with, hey, let me take you out to dinner, as Jen." And, of course, that's not good enough for her. She wants to go to bed, and they immediately cut, which, again, they could have done something kind of cool here where they could have said, "Okay, we're meeting back to my apartment and let's race." And I know this would have been a little bit more CGI, but it would have been funny to see them kind of bounding and cool at the same time, bounding on top of the rooftops, etc. I think that would have been cool. And then when they got back, they would have been out of breath, etc. And they're, of course, kissing, etc. And again, here's another funny thing that we could have put in that they totally missed the mark on. So they're struggling to get out of their, especially his super suit, etc. And Jen could have instantly changed there, and this would have solved the problem for the ending too. The scene that everybody has a problem with, this could have solved that problem. So uh, she could have changed and literally ripped it off him and then changed back. I think that would have been funny. I mean, but they don't hire me for this shit. So, and then, they go to bed, but then here's the big thing that everybody was up in arms about, is that he did the walk of shame, right? So instead of putting his boots on and jumping from rooftop to rooftop like he would have done, instead, they have him walking with his shoes in his hand, barefoot, where he's, that the women that wrote this are like, wouldn't it be great if we saw a man doing that? People are gonna, I don't care. People love it. I love it. I love it. This is so good. Oh, yeah, man walking through the walk of shame. Yeah. No, it didn't go off. Nobody liked it. Nobody I talked to anyway, and nobody on the internet that I saw liked that scene. Everybody thought it was pushing the envelope to a point where it just didn't make any sense. So is all for the writers to do that for their own validation. I don't understand. What they could have done, which would have been funnier, of course, what he would have done is what I said. But if he had his clothes were ripped, he could have said, "Oh, now I got to go back to the fashion guy and get it made. But I need something to wear in the meantime." And she says, "Well, I have my suits." So he borrows this suit, and the arms, would go down to here, and dangling, and he would have looked like a midget walking in a suit. And then if he walked past the other person, he'd go, "Hey, how you doing?" And he could have flapped the arm or whatever, and that would have been funny. But instead, we got this. I'm gonna kick that man in the nuts. I'm gonna go woohoo and put him out and do a walk of shame. They were writing this thing going, yeah. The feminists are gonna love this. No, it was shit. And my thing would have been funnier, and I think everybody would have appreciated that more. Where it didn't take away from him, but was still funny, But anyway, then we get on to the ending, which even the writers knew that the show was over. She breaks the fourth wall and she says, "You're probably wondering why this thing's still going." Yeah, I was. I mean, it was over. I mean, we had the arc. It ended. It was over. No, they had a set up for next week, and nobody really gives a crap about anything that happened after this next week because they were all waiting for Daredevil, and it finally came. And I don't know why they went with the yellow and red suit, but whatever. They just wanted him to make him look different. I don't understand. So anyway, they set up that all these. She was in for female lawyer of the year. Okay, so we were all surprised. Even the audience was all surprised that she would get this. We'd never see her really work. So we find out that like 10 women got these things, including somebody from her office. And how would she not have known? Since it was somebody else from her office actually getting the award too. But nope, whatever, man. So anyway, the bad guys hijack, and they said the bad guys look like Doomcock, which is a YouTuber, which is pretty funny. They're really bad on the internet. They want to. The writers just want to hand it to, smack the internet around, all the YouTubers and everything else. And that's what they're trying to do here. So anyway, the Joshua, who she slept with a few episodes ago, they have a sex tape. Apparently he was able to put a camera down and not have her notice. So anyway, so she smashes the thing, she smashes to the wall, and she's met with a whole bunch of guns pointed at her. But anyway, that was the whole episode. And again, this could have been good. This could have been good. It was now if we see that if it was actually superhero based and had some action in there in every episode, and the suit looks good. I mean, it's more boy shorty than it is how it normally is, which is more bikini like. But it was fine, and she had the sneakers on and everything like that, exactly as it was in the comic. So it was all good. But they could have done it so much better. Just get rid of Jessica Gao and her entire crew. Just get rid of them, okay? Because if they do a season 2, which they're going to, just clean house. Feige should just go, "This did not work, ladies. Sorry, Here's the numbers. I got to let you go. It didn't work. And then bring in, if you want to bring in all women, fine. Bring in all women. But make sure they're comic book writers. Make sure that they know the comic book genre. They know the action genre. And now we just proved that if we make it, you can have comedy in it. It doesn't have to be a satire. So Jamila Jamil, she's been interacting with the fans, and she's like, I want to learn what's wrong here. And she openly said it was a satire. It's a comedy. It's not working as that. So they need to rework it so that it's dramatic action and has, because now we bring in villains, there's no stakes because it's a comedy. So we all know it's a big joke. And it's all a peg at men anyway. So there's no stakes. We don't care. So we need to bring in more of an action thing, and there's plenty. Guardians of the Galaxy is a perfect example. How the stakes were high, the characters were likable and relatable, and at the same time, it was funny. But it was funny because we were it was the characters' interaction that was funny. We were not poking fun at every little thing that happens in our day-to-day life, which is outside of the characters. That's why it's not funny. Because they keep throwing the camera to the real world. We don't care. We want to see the characters interact. We want to see how that dynamic creates the funny moments. Not what they're doing. It's not working. And if they make a second season by not addressing that, they're not good producers. Because the producers and the executives in the studio should be saying, look, money talks. This is not working. Let's move on. Let's make this thing work. Where everybody's kind of happy with it and excited. I was excited to see this thing, and I'm not anymore. But if they said, oh, it's under new management now, so we're rebooting it, I think everybody would be excited again. Because we're not against the cast or anything like that. So there's got to be a way to make this thing work. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Make sure you like and subscribe, share, etc. And remember that Tales of Ravenor is going to be launching next week on the 15th of October. So if you haven't signed up already, I have a link in the comment section. Go and check that out. All right. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks for watching.